Middleby Marshall, in a nutshell, is was born driven for the pizza industry. We are the fastest approved bake in 9 out of the top 10 pizza chains in the country. The only reason that we're not in that 10th one is because that one is Papa Murphy's, and we can't get them to bake pizzas still. So, I mean, you name a pizza operation, and they probably have a Middleby Marshall inside of their kitchen baking pizzas right now. Basically, we find, when our phone rings, we ask a series of questions to try to narrow down what direction we're going to go with our customers. We need to know, what their menu's like, what they're cooking or baking. Are they in strictly a pizzeria? Do they have a wide variety of menu items? And we can start attacking it from there. We have 3 different lines of pizza ovens. We have our old traditional ovens on your far right, the PS360S. That was discontinued probably 15 years ago out of production. Just a true workhorse. And then moving along to the middle is the PS555G. That is our latest version of that traditional oven. So you're dealing with a 32-inch wide belt, and that bake chamber is 55 inches. We go from a 20-inch bake chamber all the way up to a 70-inch bake chamber. And currently on the market today, I think Lincoln just discontinued their largest pizza oven. So we have the largest dealer-driven pizza oven on the market right now. A little history, Middleby Marshall did a lot of direct sales up until about 2 years ago. We are a fully rep-driven, dealer-driven company right now. So we go through the traditional rep market now. We are not selling direct anywhere. So if you hear anywhere out there that Middleby Marshall's selling direct, it's just not true. The traditional ovens gave way to a new technology, which is our WOW oven, which you can see on the left there, the 360G. That allows us to vary the air speed within that cavity along with the temperature. So we can really dial in some really fast pizza times with those. So, with the traditional ovens, we were anywhere from 7 to 8 minutes. We're cutting that all the way down with ovens at 5 minutes because we're able to vary that airflow along with the temperature and the time to really crank out some pizzas fast. So kind of depends on the volume of the restaurant that you're working with. Do you need a more economical traditional oven where 6.5 minutes is going to work for you and 90 pizzas an hour? Or are we working with a high volume restaurant where we need to have even faster bake times? We can stack these ovens, some of them up to 4 high. So when we're talking about designing hood systems or designing cook lines, we can build vertically instead of horizontally, which is nice. So as volumes ramp up in restaurants, we can continue to stack ovens on top of each other and not have to mess around with the hood system. So that works out pretty well too. Like I said, the traditional ovens versus the WOW ovens. The traditional ovens are a workhorse. They're going to knock out 80% of anybody's pizza business just by simply turning it on and setting the temp. Okay, the airflow is the airflow. You determine the time it needs to be on that belt to get the proper product out the other side, and you lock it in and you go. The WOW ovens can be a little bit more particular and dialed in. So we can do time, temperature, and we can fluctuate that airflow in there. We can put different what we call fingers that direct the air in there to direct the air to different parts of the pizza. Some of the, without going into too much detail, some of the large chain pizza places that you're very familiar with are very particular about how they want their pizzas to look when they come out the other side, what, different dimpling on their pizza crust, things like that. So we're able to do through a gang load of different finger configurations, dial in anybody's pizza product. So we are not scared to tackle any pizza product. We talked about the variable airflow technology within the Middleby Marshall WOW oven. It comes in all kinds of different sizes. So depending on what the footprint we have to work with, whether it's existing restaurant or whether we're building from new, we have an oven that can fit in pretty much any application. Are we all familiar with impingement technology?
I am, but just in case there's someone on the phone that's not, you want to go into it real quick?
Absolutely. So basically what happens is we have a power plant of heat that generates flame that shoots it into the back of that oven outside of the cavity. And what that does is we have 4 different blowers. We have 2 on top and 2 on the bottom. And as the oven calls for temperature, it's going to regulate where that heat goes, which set of fingers it goes in, so it keeps temp to a 5-degree plus minus of your set temperature. So older ovens are probably 30 degrees, 15 up and 15 down before they start drawing energy from those burners. So the new WOW technology really keeps that oven temperature consistent, whereby keeping all of the product that goes through that oven very consistent, so you don't have any fluctuation in darkness of crusts across the pizza when they come out. So virtually making 100% consistent product when it comes out the other end. So it's pretty nice that way. The fastest approved bake time in the industry across all of the 9 of 10 major pizza chains in the country. We covered the variable airflow management system. Energy Eye is something that we like to tout as well, because we're all concerned with energy conservation, getting our gas bills lowered, that kind of thing, just making the oven more efficient to run within your kitchen. So what this Energy Eye does is it shoots a laser across the opening fresh portion loading spot of the oven. Every time that laser eye gets broken, it knows that there's product going. In the event that we go through a slow period in our restaurant between lunch and dinner time and the eye is not broken with a fresh product going in there, it starts ramping down the energy that the oven uses. It does not drop the temperature, but it will drop incrementally the airflow that's going through there, so it's not using as much energy to heat the oven. The minute you set a pizza conveyor belt and it breaks that eye, it 3 seconds to ramp the oven right back up to full potential again. It's super fast recovery, and in our downtimes in our restaurants, especially if we're using multiple ovens and only one oven is needed, we can really save some energy across the board that way too. Cool skin technology. So there's one that blows through louvers across the front of the oven and basically keeps the heat away from it. So if you are standing in front of an older traditional conveyor and it gets super hot, obviously we're creating, safety hazards, that kind of thing. What the cool skin technology does is it keeps the outside of that pizza oven super cool. Being in the back of the house for as many years as I was, if you had arm hair left up to your elbows, you were lucky, or you weren't working hard enough. And if you didn't have burns all the way down your forearms, atmosphere that this creates inside of the kitchen is far cooler, whereby using less energy to cool the kitchen, because I'm sure none of the kitchens in Florida get hot, right?
No, they're not hot at all.
Mm-hmm. So anything we can do to, just make the atmosphere that our team members are working in more comfortable. If we're going to lower safety issues because of hot cooking equipment, the better off we're going to be. And that certainly shows up in retention. We all know how hard it is to cooks in the kitchen right now, and putting them in a comfortable environment and they're good and you want to keep them is definitely going to keep them around a lot longer versus having them burn themselves in a hot kitchen every day. With that variable airflow, we certainly have a more even, consistent bake. We have a hearth bake belt available on our WOW ovens. The hearth bake belt was derived from that pizza customer, like I was for years and years, cooking pizza out of deck ovens, and no one was going to convince me that I could get as good a pizza out of a conveyor oven as I do a deck oven. Our hearth bake belt technology is a very tightly wound, thick metal belt that goes on that instead of the wide space belt that most impingement ovens have. And what we're doing with that is creating a heat sink within that belt, and we're putting the product directly on that belt instead of a screen. So we get that instant pop out of that dough, very similar to the pop that you're going to get by dropping it on a hot stone. One thing that belt has that those stone ovens don't. In the middle of a dinner rush, when we're continually opening that oven door on our stone hearth oven, we're dropping heat inside of that cavity, and every time we put a cold piece of dough on top of that stone, we're dropping the temperature of that stone. When you get super busy on a Friday night in your pizza restaurant, your stone deck oven is not performing like it was when you first opened your restaurant, and it's going to increase cook times, and it's going to decrease the consistency of your pizza. We don't have that on the hearth belt. The hearth belt temperature stays the same because it's heating up when it doesn't have a pizza on it as well. And the bake times and the consistency stay 100% all the way through. You know, if you started out your night on a 5 to 7 to 8 minute bake time on your large pizzas, and in the middle of your dinner rush, you're creeping up to the 10, 11, 12 minute mark, you're inherently decreasing the volume that's going out of your pizza restaurant. And this hearth bake belt fixes that. So it's consistent all the way through. These are examples of our smaller and countertop ovens. The PS 520 that you see in the top right of your screen is the smallest gas and electric countertop conveyor oven on the market. There are conveyor ovens on the market that are that small, but they only come in electric. So we are the only manufacturer that has both. These can be stacked vertically as well.
Troy, what's the width on that PS 520? What's the size of that cavity?
20 inches. So it's an 18-inch belt and a 20-inch baking cavity. And then if you get up to the 528, obviously we're stretching that by 8 inches, and we're adding a door. The reason that comes in handy, you know, maybe we have a pizza and sub or garlic cheese bread or something like that. We have the belt speed set for our pizzas that we're putting through there, and then we also can open that door and do a half run on hot hoagies or garlic cheese breads or something like that. And that follows through all the way up to the 638. The pizza industry, kind of like the automotive industry, you know, automated their lines to create efficiencies and consistencies within their product years and years and years ago. They understood the value of having things done exactly the same way every time. Being a chef, I know that the number one thing that can kill your restaurant is inconsistent product in your kitchen. The very first time I had a conversation with somebody about the fact that they wanted to take my charbroiler, my flat top griddle, and my saute station out of my kitchen and replace it with a conveyor oven, I kind of laughed at them. But that's exactly what the next thing that I'm going to show you will do. We have examples of it out in the country right now. Yeah, you guys have Beef O'Brady's and O'Charlie's and things like that down there, right?
Yes, sir.
And most of you are probably familiar with the boathouse at Disney Springs.
Yep. That's the quad deck.
Quad deck, absolutely right. Hey, you're stealing my thunder over there. I'm just going to show you this video real quick here just to kind of give you all a little bit of a visual on what this oven can do. Basically, we've taken the technology from impingement and parlayed that into a CTX. So what we have in a CTX oven is a long-range infrared burner technology. So there's two super heavy-duty infrared burners on the top of this cavity and two more on the bottom. Each one of them can be dialed into a specific temperature, and there's a split belt on these CTXs, so you can run two different belt speeds. And basically what this is attacking for the rest of the back of the house that the impingement ovens did years ago is our raw proteins. So as you saw on the videos, steaks, cedar plank chicken, sauteed shrimp. This thing can do over easy eggs. We can cook omelets in it. We can finish pastas in it. So it's taking all of the elements that I have known for years, standing over a charbroiler with a pair of tongs in my hand, or in front of a flat top griddle with a turner in my hand, or a towel wrapped around the end of a saute pan over 8 live burners, and combining that all into one handy piece of equipment. And I think what you heard from the examples, and those are great success stories. The Boathouse in Disney Springs has a quad stack of these things. They are virtually running 80% of their most big ticket items through this CTX, just due to the consistency and the fact that they know they're not going to lose any food because it's going to come through the other side of this oven perfect every time. Beef O'Brady's, I believe Beef O'Brady's has a triple stack application.
Right now it's a double stack. We're working on a triple.
Okay. I know O'Charlie's a triple stack oven, and they're great. They have been sharing their successes with us, which I like to share with everybody else. They've automated their kitchens. We worked with their corporate chefs. We dialed in their menus long before these ovens ever hit the door. And when we get them there, we plug them in, and 2 hours later, their entire staff is trained up how to use these things. Okay, they're super simple. As of a couple months ago, their reports back to us, they are saving 42 hours of labor per week per kitchen in their operation. Their ROI on these ovens, just based off of that, was 6 months. We replaced their charbroiler, their range, and their griddle with a triple stack CTX platform. And not unlike the Boathouse, if their volumes in their restaurants ramp up, we'll pop a fourth one on top of there, just so that they can keep up. Another thing that this oven does is, especially in this day and age when everybody's worried about viruses and foodborne illnesses and things like that, once you get these ovens set up and we're literally picking a pan and picking our protein and picking the belt that we put it on, we've eliminated human interaction with that food. And when we eliminate human interaction with that food, we increase the food safety 99%. Okay. We're not pulling chicken breasts off a charbroiler too early. We're getting internal temperatures that we've dialed in to this process long before the ovens got in there, and we trained the folks how to use them. We had an instance, got a phone call from one of the operators at O'Charlie's. Evidently, he had a little bit of a sickness going through his kitchen, and like 3 out of the 4 cooks in his kitchen called in sick. They pulled a dishwasher out of the dish room to cook his food. That's how simple it is. So if you think about that, we are taking a highly skilled labor position probably out of a kitchen operation and replacing it with somebody that understands how to identify a pan, how to identify what belt to put it on, and that's the extent of our cooking process with these ovens. I think the best part of it, from a chef standpoint or a cook standpoint, the ovens clean themselves. So there is a clean button on the front of these ovens that you push, and the oven ramps up to over 900 degrees and virtually incinerates every single thing that has happened inside of that oven and turns it into dust, and you turn the oven off and you go home. So there's no safety concerns with cleaning. There's no 2 or 3 hourly staff hanging out in your kitchen for an hour cleaning equipment when you're not making money. And that all adds to the ROI as well. Kind of quick and to the point. Anybody have any questions about CTX or impingement technology?
I know you said O'Charlie's and Beef O'Brady. Is this any other large chains using this?
Yeah, actually Chili's was probably the first to roll this technology out, maybe 9 or 10 years ago. So what Chili's did was put an air impingement oven stack on the bottom and drop 2 CTX platforms on top of it. And I believe every Chili's in the country has been using this ever since. So if you ever are into a Chili's restaurant and you have anything to eat from Chili's in the last 10 years, it's been coming out of CTX and Middleby Marshall WOW technology since.
That's
So
great.
it's I had one operator that I was working with, and we got halfway through, me showing him how to cook his product on CTX, and he just kind of at one point looked up and he's like, "This is the dirty little secret that all of the chain restaurants are doing, and that's why everything I always eat at these chain restaurants is the same."
Right.
So he
Give you
he kind of hit the nail. He kind of hit the nail on the head. You relieve your operation of all that, the human factors. Whether or not a hungover broiler cook or the saute guys fighting with a couple of the wait staff or something. These ovens don't do that.
Right.
They take all of those human variables out of your operation and increase your consistency exponentially.
Very cool. I appreciate your time today, Troy. This has been great.
Absolutely. And eating folks, you do have these ovens in your test kitchen down there, correct?
Yes, we do.
Perfect. So I think, especially with the CTX, because you're going to get a lot of weird looks when you tell them that you can automate char broilers and flat top griddles and saute stations. The best route to do that is get a hold of the eating guys and their chef and have the chef work with chefs from your end users and have them bring their product in. There's no better aha moment than when a chef from a restaurant brings in a half a dozen of his items and we run it through a CTX oven and they realize what this thing can do.
Well, that is fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And we'll see you then. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you.